am super, super excited to welcome our guests today. As many of you know, I work in the hotel industry, and unfortunately, the hotel industry has a long-standing relationship with human trafficking, and we are working very hard to be part of the fight and not part of the problem. And a couple of years ago, we started working with a great organization here in Columbus called Freedom a la carte. Who has heard of it? Yeah. Awesome. And I was just sharing with my table, actually. I wanted to form a volleyball team, and that turned into a volleyball tournament. And we needed a benefactor, and we did not have to look very far. And so we've been doing our volleyball tournament. This is our third year. We took 1 year off for COVID. And Freedom a la carte has been our benefactor for the past 3 years, and it's been such an amazing event. And I have learned so much from the team at Freedom, and I just thought, I don't know, in the time that I've been here, I'm not sure if they've ever had an opportunity to talk to all of us about the role that we play in the fight against human trafficking. Whether your business can get involved or just you as a person, unfortunately, I would bet every one of you has crossed paths with this in a restroom at a truck stop. For me here, personally in Columbus, at a very high-end hair salon, in a hotel. Sorry, I get emotional when I talk about this. I think that's normal. And so I really encourage you to think about how you can get involved with this organization. They continue to build on amazing opportunities to volunteer, ways for your businesses to get involved in their workforce development program. And so I'm very honored to introduce two people today. Vanessa Perkins, who is the Workforce Development Manager, which is a really cool program that I really want you to take some notes on. And Bekah Moran, who's been my kind of volleyball cheerleader as we worked on the program together. And she's with their community engagement team. So please give them a warm welcome, and I hope that you take something really amazing away from today.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today. So I'll I have to make a disclaimer before I start. Last night I had a little bit of an incident, and I have a cracked rib right now. So I will be kind of like moving back and forth. I'm going into urgent care right after this, but if anything happens, know that. I'm totally fine. It's just a little painful. It hurts to laugh too, so if I'm not as funny today, that would be why. But yes, and then Vanessa is our Workforce Development Program Manager, and it's so nice to be here to share a little bit about our work. It seems like a lot of you knew about Freedom a la carte, but we'll still give you a little bit of an overview just in case you don't know all of it, because a lot of individuals know about our Workforce Development Program or kind of what we stand for, but they don't know all the other different programs that we get to do within the community. So I have a little bit of a small presentation today, overview on Freedom a la carte. Vanessa will talk more on our Workforce Development Program and how to get involved with that, and then ways to get engaged and questions and answers after that. So you can go to the next slide. And Vanessa, also feel free to join in whenever you want to and speak from there. Okay. So you can go to the next one as well. So we first want to start out by defining what human trafficking actually is, because I feel like there's a lot of different language around it, and individuals don't necessarily know, oh, are you talking about human trafficking? Is that labor trafficking? Is that sex trafficking? What does the law define as it? So we usually start out by saying what our law defines human trafficking as, and it is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to compel a person into commercial sex acts or labor against his or her will. There's one exception, and in Ohio, and it involves minors and commercial sex. Inducing a minor into commercial sex is considered human trafficking regardless of the presence of force, fraud, or coercion. So that means that anyone under 18 that's involved in prostitution or things like that, or there's a third party that is benefiting, that's automatically a human trafficking case. You don't have to try to prove that. In Ohio, originally there was a little bit of a gray area between 16 and 18 years old, but within the last year, the law has changed, and anyone under 18, you can identify them as a human trafficking survivor, which is amazing. That yes, a huge win. That our law enforcement, our government is realizing that women within these situations are being exploited, and children essentially. And so it's been a huge blessing, a huge win on that end. But you can go to the next one. So human trafficking is about vulnerability, power, and profit. When an individual is at risk, maybe they don't necessarily have, maybe they're at risk just socially. They might come from a great socioeconomic background, but they don't have a lot of relationships. And their trafficker, someone comes and says, "Hey, I'll be your friend. I'll be your boyfriend," or something like that. And they're exploiting that want for a relationship.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add?
Yes. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I could. Okay, so I'm Vanessa, and I'm with Freedom a la carte. I'm with Workforce Development Program Manager. So I just want to tell you guys that we're going to go back and forth. I know she shared that a little bit. We have actually never worked together at this capacity, so we're kind of like catching our ebb and flow today, which is kind of nice. So I like to talk about the vulnerability part, because how many in here believe they've ever had a vulnerability in their entire life? Has any of you guys ever had a vulnerability in your entire life? None of you guys? I'm seeing heads. Raise your hands. Come on, raise the roof. Okay. Yes. So the reason I think that's important is it kind of lets us know that any person is actually able to be trafficked, because these predators, the traffickers, all they're looking for is a vulnerability to fill. Are they hungry? Let me give her food. Give them food. Him, her, them, whatever it is. Do they need somewhere to live? Do they need drugs? Do they need money? Like, they literally just prey on the vulnerabilities of people and then provide that to them and lure them in. And quite often it's not a beat down tactic to get someone to stay with them, although that happens, and that happens a lot later. But really it's like, I love you. I want to ride with you. Let's ride or die. Like, these things that sometimes feel uncomfortable to talk about, because here's the reality is that's how they got me, is they literally dangled these things over like in front of me, and I went for it because it's what I needed. I didn't know that I was seeking that out, but when it was offered and it was there and it made me feel good in that moment, why wouldn't I come for that? I don't have anywhere to sleep. And he's saying, I got somewhere to sleep tonight. Let's do that. I don't have drugs. I'm getting sick. He's saying he's going to provide that for me. Why would I not do that? But then I get lured in and I get stuck. And there's a lot of there's so many things that come to this. And so their main thing is power and profit. So it's not just about the money, although that's some of it, but there's also this power and control dynamic that happens that is really addicting, and it's really sick. And it's actually why I come and talk about it today, is because they're predators and they trick people into this life most often. Very rarely have I seen somebody, actually never have I seen anybody walk into it knowing exactly what was to lie ahead. Never have I seen that. I work with a lot of survivors of human trafficking. Anyway, okay, we're going to go on, and I'm going to let Bekah back up here.
Go to the next slide. There might be anything
Oh.
else. Would you
Okay.
like to speak
Sure.
to that?
All right. So those who are vulnerable, let's see. Okay. So I already touched on some of this. The unstable living situation, which I think we can all understand what that's like. What about the domestic violent history? And I think that's really interesting, because I grew up in a household that had a lot of domestic violence in it, and I think some of it just normalized it for me. It's not really that abnormal for someone to punch you in the face. It just kind of happens sometimes. That's not true. That's not real. That's not okay. But I didn't know that. Experiencing sexual abuse, there's a lot of dynamics here, and one of them that sticks for me is like just it not being that important anymore, or I have to shut down because there's so many different feelings and thoughts that come with it. So I don't think we really want to get into all. We got 30 minutes. We're gonna keep going. Okay. Has a caregiver or a family member with a substance abuse issue, and then are addicted to drugs or alcohol, runaways, involved in juvenile justice or foster care system, really, really red flags and high risk. And undocumented immigrants, and are facing poverty, economic needs, experiencing discrimination, race, LGBTQIA+. So those are just some of the things that can make us vulnerable. And again, these predators, they know what they're doing, they know what to look for, and they want to provide that need. So if we can just be a little bit smarter than the trafficker, if we can just pay a little bit more attention than the trafficker does, why can't we provide these needs so these people don't have to go to traffickers, they can come to us? Next slide.
Yeah, we kind of hit on this one already, but in most cases, the victim knows, often loves, and trusts. So a lot of individuals, when they're thinking about human trafficking, are kind of thinking of the whole Taken. If you've ever seen that movie, there's a white truck, there's a woman walking down a street, they pull up, she is taken into the truck, and then she's gone. But a lot of times it's family members, it's a sister, it's a friend, it's someone you thought was a boyfriend or something like that, and they're exploiting those vulnerabilities, as Vanessa kind of spoke to. One that is main that we kind of talk about a lot, just because the court system that we work with works with this, but is with substance abuse issues. A trafficker knowing that a woman is addicted to a drug, or she's been trafficked and then she's kind of given this drug as a means of exploiting her and making her come back for more in that way. You can go to the next one. Also talk to this, power and control is the main part of human trafficking. I do want to clarify, when we are talking going forward, we're going to be talking a little bit more about sex trafficking. So when individuals talk about human trafficking, that could be labor trafficking or sex trafficking. And there is overlap in between those. A lot of times when someone is sex trafficked, they are automatically labor trafficked because they're doing something and they're not getting paid for it. But Freedom a la carte, our service population is primarily those that are identified as sex trafficking victims or survivors. You can go to the next. So these are a little bit of statistics on sex trafficking within the world as well as within the U.S. So globally, there's 4.8 million people forced into sexual exploitation globally, and this is an annual number, and it's a $150 billion industry. That is huge. As we spoke about, it's driven by profit, and that is kind of why it's continued. That's why it is what it is. And then the other thing is human trafficking cases within the U.S., 3/4 of them are actually sex trafficking. So that would be things that are happening outside of strip clubs, any type of like prostitution where a third party is benefiting, and things like that. The state of Ohio is actually 5th in reports of human trafficking, which is crazy. We're pretty high up there on the list. The one thing to note is we used to be 4th, so we are doing a little bit better. I mean, we're one more down. But one of the other reasons that we like to bring this up is Ohio is actually doing a really great job of identifying survivors and providing services. We have different individuals within offices that are changing those laws so that the woman that's 16 to 18 is able to be identified as a survivor and get those services. Did you want to add anything at this point, Vanessa? Or?
No, not for this slide. We'll
Okay.
just keep going.
Yep, you can go to the next one. So sex trafficking here, yes, it does happen within Ohio. Yes, it does happen within Columbus. And this is from the Ohio In-Person Human Trafficking Study Commission report. And our Attorney General, Dave Yost, has done an amazing job at just creating awareness within our state. They actually do a human trafficking, I don't even know, it's an awareness day in January. But they come out with an annual report every year. And this is from one of those reports. And over 2,800 American-born youth in Ohio are at risk each year for sex trafficking. And of those, 1,078 have been trafficked in the course of the year. And how they come up with those statistics is taking into account the foster care system, any type of vulnerabilities, any type of identified trafficking cases within our state, working with law enforcement. So it is a huge issue. You can go to the next one, please. Thank you. So that's kind of like the dark side of what is happening right now, what is sex trafficking, and now it's what can we do about it? So Freedom a la carte is a solution. So our mission is to empower survivors of sex trafficking and exploitation to lead new lives of freedom. We do that within multiple ways, and we're walking with someone directly from the court system all the way to when they have custody of their children and maybe they need just a little bit of extra social support. And you can go to the next one. And we do that through 3 different pillars, which, if you could actually go to the next one as well, which I will go through. And Vanessa, feel free to jump in whenever you'd like. But our first, we're going to start out by walking with you with a woman's journey. So when a woman has a certain amount of solicitation charges or something like that, she might have to go to jail from prostitution charges and things like that. Because of that, Franklin County has actually created a specialty docket called Catch Court, and that's called Changing Actions to Change Habits. That's what it stands for. And within this, instead of serving that jail time, a woman can plea in, and then it's a 2-year court program that blends punitive sentences with different supportive services in kind of stepping out of the life, giving her the resources that she might need. And Freedom actually comes alongside this court program in providing that support. We provide GED mentorship for a woman who has pled into this court program and is trying to lead a new life of freedom. And our goal is to make someone self-sufficient. And so we're providing all of those sources, those supportive services that the court program might not necessarily be able to do so. We provide mentorship for the women within this docket. We provide assistance with getting their driver's license, things like that, things that you wouldn't normally think would be a need, but then you realize, like, oh my goodness, this person has been rescued from this situation and that they don't necessarily have social support. We provide those mentors because a woman oftentimes is kind of stepping out from all the relationships that she knew beforehand. Vanessa's pretty well versed in Catch Court, so if you have anything at this time.
Sure. Thank you. So Catch Court is the program that helped pull me out of that life. I didn't know I was being trafficked. It wasn't in our vocabulary, and plus I loved my trafficker. I thought we were doing this life together. So I didn't realize that I was being trafficked. I thought I was making all the choices. It's like the psychological manipulation and control that happens, and it gets really confusing. And I feel really stupid. It's like I know I shouldn't go back to my trafficker, but I love him and we do things together and he's protected me from this and provided me with this. And there's also this chemical release that happens in the brain that bonds us with our, it's like why domestic violence people stay. People who are in, and we look at them and we say, oh my gosh, why don't they just leave that relationship? Well, there's a chemical connection that happens in the body. So it's an actual like addiction that is created. So when I get to Catch Court and they tell me like I have to let go of that life, I had no idea what to hang on to. I had no idea how to act, what to do, who am I? How do I exist in this world without drugs and alcohol and without all of the people and things that I've ever known my entire life? So what the heck am I supposed to do? So Catch Court wraps around me and first starts off by the basic needs. We're going to give you housing, clothing, and we're going to give you this community. And so that has absolutely saved my life because there's no way that I would have went without housing, clothing, and a community and not gone back to what I know. How could I do that? How can I possibly do that? I couldn't buy my own food. I literally couldn't do anything for myself at that point. And so they wrapped around me, sent me to Amethyst, which is a treatment center here in Columbus, and they helped me work through those basic needs and trauma therapy, and then started to reunify with my kid, because also if I can't have my kid, I'm not staying either. So I think that's a need that we have everywhere, is to have places for people to recover with their kids, especially men, because there are like no places for men to go to with their kids. I have people that have gone back out to the streets trying to find housing for their own kids, but they have criminal records and all these barriers that they can't seem to break down. So we all need it, but I think it's really lacking in the men area for the kids. So as I'm working through this 2-year program, I'm required to go to court every week. I'm required to meet with my probation officer every 2 weeks, and I'm required to do everything that treatment says, and that's including 12-step programs in the community. What? What the heck? How am I supposed to do this? I literally didn't know how to be awake during the day and sleep at night. Like, everything had to change. I needed people to wrap around me and tell me how to do that. I needed people to be graceful with me when I'm mouthy, when I don't know how to respond, when I don't know how to show up, when I forget things because my memory is off from all the trauma and drug addiction for years. So no, I didn't remember my ID today. No, I forgot we talked about that at all. I still suffer from that today, and it's really discouraging. So to have people in front of me that say, no, that's okay, let's do it again. is really nice. Or let's write it down and help me to learn how to remember things and to organize things. Because my brain, it just doesn't work like that anymore. Maybe it never did. I'm not sure. So I had a judge, Judge Paul Herbert. Have you guys heard of him? Yeah. So he's the one that started this program. And so he was this man judge up on the bench, and I walk out and he's like, how can I help you? I'm like, what? Nothing. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Because I was a brick wall and he's this man up on the bench. No. So I would not go to him for anything, but he built a team I could go to. So he had people that could speak my language. And when I first got there was people in the Catch program that came from the very same streets that I just came from. And those are the people I could connect with. So that peer support stuff, so powerful for me. I needed someone to say, we get why you want to go back to the streets. It makes sense. Why don't you hang out here for a little bit, work through some stuff, and see if you still want to go back. Okay, I can get with that. And so that's what I did. And that's why I'm still here today. And I started that journey in 2009. That's crazy, right? I did not know I was going to be your speaker today. That was not on my agenda. So, do you want me to just go on into workforce development? And so when I graduated, or as I was working through Catch Court, again, it was a 2-year program, but I was technically there for 3. I think there's other people that have gone through Catch Court that is longer than 2 years. Some of us are sicker than others. Feel free to judge. I needed the extra time. I needed the support. I had a lot of healing to do. And so Freedom a la carte started when I was in Catch Court. They started that relationship. It was called DOMA back then. You might remember it as DOMA. And maybe somebody else in here said that? Yeah. And so the most powerful thing was the mentorship that you had talked about. And it's for the very reason that you said. It's I didn't know how to exist in this world. So we had Catch Court, so it was court stuff. We had treatment, so it was treatment stuff. But what do I do in the middle? How do I shop for groceries? How do I budget? How do I do these other things? And so the mentor would slide in there, and listen, I'm going to keep it real. I could not stand my mentor when I met her because she was so happy and everything was fine and her life was perfect and blah, blah, blah. But I was dead inside, and I felt so guilty and uncomfortable in my own skin that when she would just come up and be herself, I was So thank God that she took some trauma trainings, and because that was a requirement to be a mentor. And so she knew that my responses and my reactions has nothing to do with her at all. It's all my stuff. So she stuck around. I didn't scare her off. I wasn't threatening or anything, but I was very much whatever, fine. And so finally we start to build this relationship that we still have today, 12 years later. How cool is that? I didn't sign up for that. I didn't know that was going to happen. She's a person I go to still on a regular basis. And here's the things that meant the most. She shared a little bit of her stuff with me, so I realized she's not actually perfect, which is kind of nice. Not telling you guys to do that, but that was nice for me. She let me in her car, and she took me to her house. Those are the things that were so meaningful to me because I was such an untrusted person living this grimy life, So when she gave me those little bits of grace, those little moments of trust, it helped change me. And I'm really, really thankful for that. So then Freedom a la carte, they were okay, we have this mentorship program. We're going to bring food into the courthouse because they're starving by the end of court. So they wanted to bring food for us to eat while we're in court. And then, okay, now we see they need employment. It literally was, what's the need? Let's fill it. What's the need? Let's fill it. What's the need? Let's fill it. And so we actually started with an actual food cart that we hooked to the back of a van that was going to break down any second now. And we drove around to different places and we sold food off the cart. That was my first job in this new life, was selling street meat, in front of the courthouse and everywhere else. So it was really, really humbling. It was challenging, but it was a good, honest job. And not just a job, but now they're teaching me how to be employable. How do I do a resume? No clue. They did my first resume. I still tailor that one today. Don't tell anybody. Anyway, I'm literally a workforce development program manager, so I probably should come up with my own resume. Anyway, so then they would teach me how to suit up and show up, teach me how to network, how to have a bank account, which I was so resistant to forever. So these things that make me part of society and help me to just be employable. So then I was told, and then I became a butterfly, and I'll touch a little bit on that before I go into why freedom is so important employment-wise. So I did become a butterfly, and the butterfly is a program that was created several years back by April Thacker, who is no longer with us today. It still breaks my heart thinking about her not being here, but she created this program for us butterflies to come to, because after treatment, after court, now we're out there and we're still different to a certain degree when we need support. We need help with 12 years later, my PTSD is still here. I still need support with that. I'm still having nightmares. I still have perception issues. I'm exhausted. I have anxiety and depression. We have all this stuff. We still need support for that. So she decided to come up with the butterfly program, and now there's like 265 or something like that, and provides things like case management, free case management, different events, support groups, we do Christmases and Thanksgivings, and basically if you have a need, bring it to us, and we have a butterfly manager. Her name's Mandy Knight, and they'll bring their need to her, and the goal is to empower this person to do it on their own. If they can't, we're just going to support you in every way we can to make it happen for you. And it's a really great thing to watch them right in front of us say, oh my gosh, thank you for spending so much time with me. I'm so grateful for you. So a lot of time it's just about, they just don't feel good enough. And so when we're in front of them trying to help them out, because we see them as excellent, we see them as good enough, they don't see it in themselves. We get to help them with that. And those are the moments that are just so incredible and so worth like everything that we do. So I stopped working at Freedom a la carte. I was there for like, I don't know, I'm food goofy. I'm a microwaver at heart. Still today, that has not changed. So Freedom a la carte moved me from doing food stuff to being the volunteer coordinator, which I had no idea what I was doing. The only thing I could really do was type. I was competitive in high school, so I got really fast. And that was pretty much it. And so they taught me how to like email more than one person at a time. That was like the greatest day of my life. We were like, what is taking you so long? I'm like, you guys told me to do 110 emails. And they're like, you put all of them in there at once. One email. What? It was amazing. Best day of my life. Like my trafficker did not teach me that. Anyway, so just those things that sometimes we take for granted. So when people come into the workforce development program and I start to talk with them, I ask them very basic questions, and I say it as generically as possible because I really genuinely want to know the truth so that we can see how we can support this person to the next level. And I ask them things like, how's your reading and comprehension? How's your computer skills? Or I'll slide a computer over to them and be like, let's work on this. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. Okay, got you. So then we start working from the ground up wherever they are. We have people that don't know how to work a laptop to people that have graduated college. So we have everybody. So we just have to be well equipped and connected to people to help us to get them to the next level, wherever they want to go and however we can support them get there. So it's really, really cool. And to watch them get their voices, to start shaking hands, to start like seeing themselves as good enough, and then to start asking for help when they need it. Like all of that stuff is like encompassed through our entire organization. Do you want to jump in on anything?
No, you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. How's your breathing? We're good?
Going well.
Got an oxygen mask, anybody? So I have no idea what the next slide is, but let's find out. Oh,
I think it might be the video.
Oh, there's a video. Good.
Oh, nope, it's the pictures.
Okay.
So these are just some pictures over like Catch. This is actually Catch graduation. So after 2 years and someone graduates the program, there's actually they have a reception at the State House and things like that. So just celebrating someone's step towards a new life of freedom.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. You can go to the next one. I think one thing that I will touch on is the workforce development program. So it goes from 6 months to 2 years. It used to actually be 6 months to 18 months, but we've realized that we want to make sure that we're setting them up for success. And within that 6 months to 2 years, a lot of individuals are gaining more responsibility, whether it be getting custody of your children back, or having your first apartment, or we have a savings match incentive program that we started within the last couple of years. So a woman can realize how to budget, how to save, things like that. But then once she saves up a certain amount, Freedom will match that. And then we have a partnership with Riker Automotive, and they're able to get their own car. So they now are not taking the bus. They're responsible of their own vehicle. Things like that you don't realize, but adding them all up, it is a lot of different stressors, a lot of different changes that are happening.
Yeah.
So that is one program that we've our whole thing again is like, what is the need? How can we fill it? How can we do that in a way that's empowering someone versus enabling them? And it's more as cliche as it sounds, but teaching someone how to fish instead of just giving them the fish as a nonprofit. So
That was good.
Yep.
That was good.
this is just a picture that's actually at Catch Court, but it's some quotes on our butterfly program.
Oh.
The one thing that's been really cool is, we're located on Spring Street, and that's our cafe, catering, bakery, and things like that, and that's part of the workforce development program. But now we have an upstairs freedom loft. So women can stop in at any time during the day, and Vanessa's up there, Mandy's up there, our whole supportive service team, just if they need support, whether that be internet, whether that be needing social support, whether that be needing, hey, like my kids' parent-teacher conference is at this time, like how do I get there, and things like that. And just knowing that there is that support net of, hey, I'm out there kind of like on my own, but I'm not, because Freedom's there and the whole community of butterflies is there. The other cool thing has been having our peer support groups on site. So upstairs in the loft, we've had weekly peer support groups that women can go to, and then as they're introduced into these peer support groups, then maybe they realize, oh, the Freedom Loft is somewhere I can go next time if I have a struggle, whether that be a social struggle, a case management issue, or anything like that. So from there, and then next slide. So I'm not positive if this will work, but if you can try to play it, this is kind of Freedom a la carte told by some of the women that we get to work with on our team.
I'm Dory.
My name's Justine.
My name's LaRose.
My name is Lori, and I work at Freedom a la carte.
Freedom a la carte is a catering business.
We employ survivors of human trafficking and people who are clean and sober from drugs and alcohol.
Freedom is a nonprofit organization that helps human trafficking survivors get back on their feet, give them a chance to get back into the workforce. Freedom hired me on when I was still in treatment, and it had been years since I've worked a real job.
I wasn't sure exactly, how was I going to react with working with other people. And so it's helped me be able to have boundaries and a balance of working, showing up on time, gaining more responsibility and loyalty to the job, job readiness and training.
I've never really been good at this whole life thing, and Freedom kind of helps me with the whole responsibility of life thing.
Freedom a la carte provides me with a job, my first in 25 years. They've taught me how to have a work ethic, to show up on time, to show up for myself, to show up for the crew that I work for.
It sounds really simple, but if you don't know how to do that, then you absolutely are just lost.
I hadn't had my license for 20 some years, and I had accumulated a great deal of fines. And Freedom paid off all of those fines so I could get my driver's license back.
They help you get back into life. Like, they helped me open up my first bank account. They helped me pay my first month's reinstatement fee, car insurance. They paid for my license because I was taking the bus back and forth to work.
Also, it helped me with the GED program.
They helped me get a computer for school.
They provide me a computer.
So I can get my GED and then go to college.
Helped me budget my money.
And now they're helping me do the match program, where I save up a certain amount of money and they match me and I get a new car.
And they're helping with counseling right now.
Tutoring to help me with subjects that I also struggle with.
So I recently moved into my very first apartment, and I needed some dishes and, some household items, and Freedom was there. Within days, I had everything that I needed.
So it's just a very supportive company, that's kind of like holds your hand as you walk through this path.
Freedom is more than just a job. Like, it's family. Like, everyone here, I love everyone here. Management and my coworkers.
They save my life every day.
Freedom's helped change my life. Yeah.
I'm glad the audio worked on that one. So I know we're running short on time, but I'm just going to quick say a couple ways to get engaged. First of all, I did want to mention we have volunteer opportunities. So that is on freedomalacarte.org if you press engage. It's working within our kitchen, working at different events, things like that. We've actually worked with Service Above South a few times, and we're hoping to get involved with them again. And then the other quick thing, we have a fundraiser that's coming up. It's called Eat Up Columbus. You can go to our website, and that provides all of the funds for the next year, or not all of the funds, a lot of the unrestricted funds for the next year that will assist us in providing workforce development and supportive services to the women within our programs, and especially because our program participant rate has been completely expanding, just kind of exploding since we've been downtown, that it's a really big blessing to be able to provide funds through that. And then the last thing is, did you have anything else?
I'll just
as
wrap
well?
up too.
Okay, yeah. If you just go to our website, and then there's more information there. We're so excited to get engaged with you. Our cafe is right over there on 123 East Spring Street. So kind of walking distance from here, and that's kind of another way that you can introduce maybe a family member or friend to our work as well as our products so that they can become a supporter and walk alongside women within our community. So you can go.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you for having us. And we have some information on your tables. If you can take a picture of it if there's not enough for everybody. You guys are wonderful. Thanks for, Hallie, thank you for having us. And, wait, is it Haley or Hallie? Shoot.
Hallie Berry.
Yes, that makes sense. Anyway, thank you guys so much. That's
Can
it.
you take a couple questions?
Oh, yeah, questions. I would love that. Sure, we'll go to you and then you.
My question concerns your mentors.
Yeah.
How do you attract them? How do you determine their skill sets? How do you then train them to be mentors if they've never done it before? And then how do you assign those skills to the people that are necessary? How does the program run behind the front door?
Yeah, these are great questions. Do you have the insight to that? Because I just have my experience.
You can say your experience, and then I'll kind of give the
So,
organizational answer.
my understanding is mostly word of mouth. I don't know that it's on our website. I feel like is it on our website?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. And how I understand it is we do have a mentor training, and in that training is information about trauma and how to mentor with people, and then actual mentors come in and speak at that. So to have like real life experiences, and I know there's like a 2-year commitment. There used to be. Is that still a thing? To have like a 2-year commitment, because part of the issue is abandonment, and we're not just going to like give someone to somebody that they're just going to leave in another 6 months. Now, if life circumstances happen, we'll all work through that together. It's it's a thing. But I'm gonna let you chime in. That was the best that I have.
Yeah. So we have quarterly mentor training. The next one is actually the first week of August. I believe it's on that little, there's a bookmark kind of thing up there that has all of our dates coming up. If you go to freedomalacarte.org, it's under engage. And so you go through the training first. That's not a full commitment. It's not saying, hey, I'm going to be a mentor, because after that, then you are going to be, interviewing with our supportive service director, kind of seeing what your skills are, what you're hoping to get out of the mentorship program, as well as the commitment level, and making sure that those things are laid out. I will say at this time we're taking the majority just female mentors, just because of comfort level and things like that. But we are in need of mentors because the court program has expanded immensely within the last year. So yes, if you go to freedomalacarte.org/engage, you can sign up for the training in August. So.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes, I was curious what kind of a budget it would take to run a beautiful program like you have.
I have no clue.
That's more my. So we are a nonprofit, but we're also a social enterprise, which is underneath the nonprofit. I won't say complete numbers because I don't know them all by heart, but if you go to our website, it's on our annual report, but it's around $2 million is what like our operating budget is. And that's primarily, it's more ran through grants and fundraising rather than social enterprise revenue. But when we have opened the cafe, our hope is to actually flip that. So, but we used to be, I think it was 70% donor and grant funded, 30% that's coming from our social enterprise. But our social social enterprise has exploded, allowing us to employ more individuals. So by our third year of cafe operations, we're hoping to at least switch it to 60% that's being ran through the social enterprise coming in, which we can use to provide programs, and then 40% through donors and grants and things like that. So, yeah.
We have one back here. Yep.
What makes Ohio number 5 for sex trafficking? Why?
I have thoughts on that.
You can do it.
So my belief is that we just have the information, the resources to be able to identify it. I think there's just a lot of places that don't have it, don't have like they don't know about the hotline. My language is not working right now. I don't know why, but it's everywhere. I just think it's underreported in a lot of places. Actually, I believe that the numbers are not really that accurate because of that, but those are just the best numbers that we have. Also, there are talks about like high level of strip clubs in the interstates that get you out of the state really quickly, things like that, but I still think that it's everywhere and just underreported in a lot of places is how I believe it to be.
I would just expand on that. I-80 is a huge problem. Toledo has traditionally been one of the worst places for trafficking because you can quickly get between New York and Chicago. And so that's actually where one of the first big busts happened in Ohio, was up in that northwest corner. So I think we have a lot of interstates, we do, and unfortunately that's how you move people. So
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thank you, guys. We also have a certificate for you for speaking to our organization today. We're going to donate on your all's behalf to Mid-Ohio Food Collective. So I will bring this to you in just a moment. So thank you very much for being here again. Okay, that was a wonderful program. We probably could have gone on. So if you can stay, we'll probably have some other questions for you. And I'm happy to have my first meeting over, although I had one more thing planned I'm saving for next time. So thank you for sticking with us while we went over, and hopefully I'll see you next week.